What was the best compliment you ever got? I'm glad you exist. Years ago, when my wife and I were walking on the sidewalk and a lady yelled from her car driving by, "Here's fine. You better hold on to that." It made our day, and still, when I think about it, it's a confidence booster. I was walking down the street, and some guy yelled out of his car, "Nice dress." It's amazing how a couple of words can change your mood. I'm learning Italian and I'm terrible at learning new languages. The other day I was having a conversation with an Italian who just blurts out, "Frick, I wish I could speak English as well as you speak Italian." It's at that point that I realize what I have achieved, and all I could do was grin like a complete idiot while mumbling a quiet thank you. Well, I'm jealous. I've been studying Italian for 3 years and I still sound like Lieutenant Aldo Rain. At the time, 3-year-old niece asked her mom if I was married. She said no. "Why do you ask?" The response was awesome. "Because I need more friends and I think Uncle Sweaty Obesity would make a great daddy." The idea that your niece actually calls you Uncle Sweaty Obesity has me crying with laughter. A little girl pointed to me and asked her mum if I was a real fairy. When her mum said I wasn't, she said, "But she's so pretty." I took my now wife out to dinner before prom. A little girl saw her while they were in the restroom and told her mom, "Look, a princess." A real princess. When they got out, the girl saw me and said, "And there's her prince." I have never been fangirled over so hard. I went home from your gig and sat for 2 hours in front of my fridge just listening to it. I met my boyfriend's former coworker. She later told him, "Your girlfriend keeps it real, not a wuss." Shortish version. I get married to woman with 2 young daughters, ages 4 and 6, adopt both girls, wife and I have 2 more kids together. Then after 10 years of marriage she bolts 1,000 miles away to live with and marry new boyfriend. I feel lost and hurt and confused, but I have custody of all 4, so I feel good. The 4-year-old, now 15 and in high school, recently shows me a text she sent her friend in which she calls me her hero for staying and raising her. FTW. My old manager was not a native English speaker. He was trying to illustrate that I'm self-motivated, self-sufficient, and low maintenance in general. What actually came out of his mouth was "Your lone wolf in black sheep's clothing." Tried on a tight, slinky dress yesterday and an older woman said, "The dress looks stunning on you, especially on your bottom." I've worked really hard for that bottom. I bought the dress even though I don't really need it. Had skin cancer removed from my face a few years ago that left a deep, long, vertical scar on my cheek. I, female, entered JFK airport confused and overwhelmed when a male worker helped me find a luggage cart. I thanked him, to which he replied, "Which a beautiful complexion." That was the day I beat skin cancer. You've raised a very respectful and empathetic little girl, made me tear up. As a teacher, I love giving compliments to parents about their kids. It's awesome to see the pride in their eyes. There's 2. 1. I create custom closets and a lady once told me you're every woman's hero. 2. I recently lost 150 pounds over the last 13 months and my overweight boss told me you are my inspiration to finally get my life in order and get in shape. I should post a before and after for proof. From a girl who was quiet in bed. If you knew what you are doing to me you would be jealous. Thank you for being my rock. My wife, after having gone through a month-long bout of an intestinal disease that included numerous doctor and hospital visits and me taking care of the house and kids while also making it to work on time. Or she's talking about your rock-hard abs and chiseled features. Wasn't really verbally said, but sometimes actions speak louder. Anyway, staying at my friend's house for Thanksgiving during university and her younger sister greeted her sister and didn't notice I was there. Anyway, about 5 seconds later she goes yep, hides behind her sister, nervously waves at me from behind her and says hi. It was the first time I felt like a girl really liked me. A girl at the supermarket checkout, scanning my items through, kept glancing up at me for the 2 or so minutes I was standing in front of her. I pay for my things, go to collect them and hear her, very timidly, tell me I have beautiful eyes. Too bad my mother was standing beside me, otherwise I'd have swept that girl off her feet. Actually, no, I'm too much of a puss. I'd have blushed, stammered, tripped and spilt crap over her. That's my standard move. The 11-year-old I teach martial arts to came into my work with his friend. I gave them a free drink each and the friend asked him why are these free, thinking I couldn't hear him. My student replied because he's nicer than most people his age. Actually he's the nicest person I know, and he's so much stronger and faster than me. He is also really smart. I hope I'm like him when I'm older, and I kind of wish he was my brother. Exactly 1 week later my student's younger brother, 6, hugged me and said you're my best friend and you have to stay with me forever. They broke my soul, and now I wish I was their brother. Unfortunately I am moving very far away this Thursday and I haven't told them, but it feels really good to be such a positive role model for these kids. Goddamn you have a great butt. May or may not be true. Usually get it from my boyfriend so could just be sympathy compliments. This, repeatedly, made me stop hating my huge thighs and butt and realize that they're a lot more decent than I thought. It did wonders for my self-esteem. Not everyone may like you for who you are, but promise me you'll never change for anyone. A few days ago I was swinging my autistic son, who's barely verbal, and he started repeatedly yelling out that it was the best day ever. There's a homeless man that begged for money outside the mall that I work at. He was at the street corner, right next to a Red Robin. Every Wednesday he and I went in and have lunch. I buy. He's legitimately homeless, Vietnam veteran, etc. We frequently swapped stories. He had some of the best stories in my opinion, but one day, he looked me in the eye and said, "You tell the best stories I've ever had the pleasure to hear." I teared up, because I never thought my story, my life story, was all that interesting. And here is a man I respect and honor and he's telling me that my story is better than his. I miss him. One day, he just stopped showing up. I hope it's because he got a home somewhere. I'm happy that we are friends, and thank you for that. After some time with almost no friends, it meant a lot for me, even more that it came from a girl. You make me so happy that I don't need anyone else. You make me so happy that I'd be monogamous for you. I heard that one from somebody that I was in an open relationship with. I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and not in a great way. Although I was taught well, the social aspect was completely ignored, so I was painfully awkward, very insecure, can't talk to females, dressed like complete crap, carried myself very poorly, and was generally just an idiot. I since have embarked on a fairly intense self-improvement mission in many different ways. Well, a week or so ago, I was talking to someone, and they asked me where I went to school. I said I was homeschooled, and it turns out this guy is homeschooling his children. He then says to me, "So I guess there is hope for them then." I almost cried when I got home. The only reason this lasted so long is because the fricking was amazing. Sometimes you don't know if you're coming or going. Someone once told me that I was their inspiration. That was pretty flattering. My supermarket has its parking lot on the roof and there's an elevator from the checkout to the roof. After checking out with a full cart of groceries, I went to the elevator. A young boy, maybe 8 years old, had just stepped into the elevator with his parents. There were already others in it, too, and there was just enough room for me, but not enough to turn around. So I went in with my cart, and the elevator door closed behind me. My back was to the elevator door, meaning I was the last in and would have to be the first out. When we reached the roof, the door opened behind me and I had to back out and turn around. So I took a step or two backwards and then I did that thing where you flick your wrists and make the cart spin around on its own, you know? So the boy, and everyone else, is looking at me in front of them as I exit the elevator first. I take a step or two back, and I flick my cart so it spins 180 degrees around. As it's spinning, I pulled my sunglasses off of my shirt collar where they were hanging because we were now in sunlight on the roof, and smoothly put them on my face. And just as I finished putting them on, my cart finished its 180 degree turn and I caught it square on and walked it over to the car. The entire thing took 3 or 4 seconds and was a totally normal thing to do. I thought nothing of it. As I walked over to my car, just after this happened, I heard the boy gasp and say to his parents, "That guy is too cool to shop." This is going to sound shallow after seeing some others, but being 31 I had someone card me at a cigar shop. I was bouncing all day after that. I was having one of my weekend visits with my boy after a particularly hard week, and as I was tucking him into bed, he asks me, "What do you think heaven is like?" I told him, "Well, I don't know, but I guess heaven is a place where you're always happy, you have everything you want, and you feel nothing but love and peace all the time." And then he says, "I think you're my heaven." I am told that I look like Matt Damon at least 4-5 times a week. He's a handsome dude. I'm glad I met you. You rock that hair, Goldilocks. I think it stuck with me because I'd never met the girl before. She was just passing me in the hall and decided to brighten my day. Just over the weekend I attended a good friend's wedding. During the wedding, he gave his speech about how he won over his bride as he was initially friend-zoned by his now wife. He described the 6 steps, which I vaguely remember as I was drinking a lot of cognac, involved to win her over, which included dates, chocolates, small gifts, movies, etc. With none of these steps were getting him out of the friend zone. During one of the dates, they were out in the town and bumped into a very drunk Monkey Zero. I was out with a bunch of friends, karaokeing and having quite a bit to drink. I saw them walking down the street and I pulled them aside to have a good chat with them both. I suddenly had the great idea to have a one-on-one convo with his lady friend and give her one of the standard Monkey drunken conversations. She gives me of those WTF looks you get from being spoken to by a crazed lunatic, where they promptly leave and I continue drinking and think nothing more of it. I hear from my mate a bit later that week and he tells me of my drunken behavior. "Mate, Monkey, do you remember what you said to lady friend?" Me, EHH, vaguely, "Sorry man. Didn't mean to lose your girl." "Mate, what are you on about? Thanks to you we are now together. You got me out of the friend zone." So that's step 6 in the groom's speech. Have Monkey Zero speak to your lady friend to get you out of the friend zone. He didn't mention what was exactly said to her in the speech, but it went something like this. Me, "Look here, there is no doubting you're a beautiful girl. There's no dancing around that. But my mate here is a good guy, but he's been through a lot. So I don't care if you like him or don't like him. Just don't mess around with him. You got it?" So it was a nice compliment to be mentioned in the wedding speech. When I'm with you, I forget about my past. She had an abusive father. From part of letter a good friend sent me, "You really are the most incredible woman I know. When I'm with you, I finally feel like I am the person I could be, the person I should be, rather than the person I am the rest of the time. Your infectious desire to live life, to seek out adventure, to push boundaries, to challenge yourself and others. Those are the things true beauty is made of. You're the best daddy ever, my 4-year-old. Though you're the only daddy ever, really, competition isn't exactly stiff." It wasn't exactly a compliment but it made me really happy. I was trying on some skirts and opened the fitting room curtain to show my mom how I looked. A little girl was passing by, and she just stopped, pointed a finger at me and said, "Wow, I either looked really pretty or like some SpongeBob wizard or something." Either way, I took it as a compliment. Out of the mouths of babes, I'm a waitress, and I was walking up to this table when the little girl pointed at me and said, "I love that lady. She tells jokes." It was a sweet moment. "Everything you say is funny with your face, ha ha ha. That counts, right?" It was small, but being told you're actually a really nice guy by a girl felt really good. Ari, the smartest black goo I know. That's a backhanded compliment if I've ever seen one. IMHO, the best compliments are those that aren't really compliments, like when somebody accuses you of cheating at something, assuming you didn't actually cheat. Or hacking in video games. Love hearing those false accusations. Grew up fat and lost a lot of pounds while gaining muscle. Was walking down the street past a cafe with my sunglasses on when I spied a hot girl and her friend. Because of my shades I was able to keep my head forward while still checking her out of the corner of my eye. At the same time I was thinking, holy heck, that girl is hot. I saw her nudge her friend, gesture to me with her head and mouth. Damn. Don't know who you are, random girl, but just so you should know you made my life. You're pretty good at RuneScape. You are the best candidate for this job. Your resume is fantastic. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You're like a female Yoda. You have been visited by the money frog. He says frog money to get $200 on the street. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.